trailer.
Polar Educators International is connecting educators, polar researchers, and communities for a better understanding of polar knowledge. Earth's polar regions are remote, beautiful, and challenging places, and they have a profound influence on every one of us. We know these vast amounts of snow, forming ice sheets, sea ice, and glaciers, together with massive currents of cold water, contribute dramatically to the climate and ecosystems of our world, systems which in turn drive the health of our local environments and communities. Research shows dramatic change in the Antarctic, in our mountainous regions, and particularly in the Arctic, home to over 4 million people, which is changing faster than anywhere else on Earth. Scientists are confirming that human activity is playing a significant role in these systems, increasing the planet's surface temperature in ways that cannot be balanced out by natural processes. It is clear the urgency to engage the next generation in polar research and to rise to the challenges that a changing climate will bring has never been greater. United in our passion for sharing the importance and value of the polar regions, educators and researchers from around the world have formed PEI, an essential global network developing polar knowledge to engage a global audience facing climate change. We are collaborating to strengthen this community, building resources and relationships, and helping local audiences connect polar research to their everyday lives. Polar Educators International amplifies the voices of all those dedicated to understanding and protecting our extraordinary polar regions, and all Earth's inhabitants for generations to come. Join us.
I do always enjoy hearing her voice on that. Sounds very posh. And I know she'll give me grief for saying that, but that's all right. So as I've mentioned, if you're listening at the end of the last hour, this is part of our halal board or loaded table in Icelandic effort to share some of the excitement of getting back together and working on polar education, professional development, and networking with our educators and researchers in April of 2022. It was postponed, of course, from last year, so we are all looking forward with great enthusiasm for it. But there have been a whole series of really excellent events, everything from a science art soiree to a polar fun run to tech conference mini-series. So there's all sorts of things that I would definitely encourage you to take a look at on our website and reference. And all of those are, in fact, on our website and on our YouTube channel if you wanted to take a look at those as well. We are using a Slack channel that will continue to be available after the Equinox Share-a-thon is over for people who want to stay connected and keep the conversation going. You can get there by either going to the bit.ly with /PEI-Slack, or I will drop the slack.com invite into the chat. So you can just go ahead and hit the invitation there. Either way, we would love to hear from you. The hashtag specific to the Equinox Share-a-thon is hashtag Equinox-share-a-thon. So you've got that going on. We also have other discussions there. So once you join the PEI Slack channel, you've got some options at that point. I want to introduce our organizer for the hour, our wonderful Pia. So if she wants to say anything for a moment. And you are still muted there. There you go.
Sure, thanks very much. Yes, well, the next speaker is somebody that I got to know very, very recently through another friend who was supposed to give her contribution, but she was just changing jobs, moving from San Diego to Seattle just during this time. And also, she was the one of the organizers of the Sedna expedition, which is in itself changing. So she suggested this friend of hers, which is in a way very much the line of Polar Educators International, because Mary Ellen Gucciardi, who's actually of Italian origin, her parents are both from Italy, and she is in Toronto, and she teaches a very interesting school. It's kind of halfway. It's for problematic young people, and it's halfway between a high school and a college. So what interested me as a polar educator is that she collaborated in a book which is actually free online to anybody, and she'll talk about that. And she has even made translated, being Canada, has been translated in French and in Inuktitut, which was a huge undertaking because of finding the translators that could, in fact, produce this book. And her idea was it has to be free to everybody. And so that's how she got a publisher. It's published online, and the link will be shared with everybody. And I really would like also to have, she's perfectly happy if Polar Educators International wants to have that book available to the public. And so she relates a story, she shares amazing videos. So I wish you a happy viewing with Mary Ellen Gucciardi.
Fabulous. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and share her screen here. Let's get that going.
Lovely, thank you.
There we go.
Good. Hello, my name is Mary Ellen Gucciardi, and I'm an educator from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I'd like to say thank you to Polar Educators International for inviting me to be part of this Share-a-thon and to share some of the work that I've been part of throughout my career. Currently, I work at Humber College, and I am part of a program called SWAC. It stands for School Within a College, and our kind of format of this program is that we help students transition from high school to post-secondary learning. And it's really a program for students who are at risk of potentially not graduating high school. So our job is to help guide them through that process. Previous to this role, I was an Indigenous education consultant for a large school board, and my job was to help support the system level educators and students alike. So that role really allowed me to kind of delve deep into the rich learning within communities. And in particular, today I want to focus on the work I was able to do with the Inuit and in the Canadian Arctic. Throughout that time in that role, we managed to figure out a way to allow some teachers and some students on several different learning excursions to travel to the Arctic from Toronto, from the Peel region, really from Mississauga, Brampton area in Ontario. And we started with, our first time up there was with a group of students, and it was completely blind, but so eye-opening when we got there. And what that did really was give us a taste of what the Arctic is about and what Inuit are, what their communities are like, how they're living. And it also allowed us and afforded us the privilege to kind of start building those relationships with people. And that led to a teacher excursion. And as a result of that teacher excursion, where we took some educators from across the system to be part of a 1 week kind of cultural learning immersion, experiential based and land based, we created our first documentary, and it was called On the Land. It is called On the Land. There will be a link for that provided here as well. The second documentary we created is called Iqaluit Dawn, which is a documentary about a student experience when we took a group of students to Iqaluit, Nunavut for a week of learning. And it was a wonderful experience. It is so humbling to see young people on these learning excursions because their eyes are wide open. They're just open and willing to engage in new learning and to connect with community. It was a really beautiful experience. Less than 10% of Canadians travel to the Canadian Arctic, and less than 1% of youth. So I firmly believe that many of these opportunities are transformative. And I have seen that in some of the lives of our young people that have gone to the North, or even some of the educators, how it has completely informed and transformed their practice when they return here to the South. Whether it sparks a curiosity to continue the rich learning, or it can look like bringing new aspects to their classrooms based on what they've learned firsthand. So I am truly grateful for many of those experiences that I was able to take part in, and I will forever really cherish them, and they have completely transformed my life. There is a part of me that will be in the Arctic forever. I think Canada's Canadian North is majestic. It's pristine, it's beautiful. The people are so generous and giving, and there is much for us to learn and engage with. So I would like you to, within this talk, I believe there's a short clip embedded. It's 8 minutes. It's from our student documentary called Iqaluit Dawn. And it's a part of the documentary near the end of the film where you get a sense of how students feel as a result of their 1 week learning experience in Iqaluit. You'll get to hear some of their thoughts and experiences, what kind of stuck with them, what made an impression with them. And it's really the goal of this documentary was to have the experience through their eyes. And so we continue to show that documentary throughout schools, as well as a teacher documentary with teachers and educators alike, mostly to share in that rich learning. We cannot bring everyone to the North, but the opportunity to create these pieces allows us to share some of that rich learning. After a few opportunities of taking students north and teachers, we compiled hours upon hours of footage and thousands of pictures. And with a very passionate, committed group of educators, I was very honored to work with them in a way that I don't think has ever been rivaled throughout my career. They were definitely committed to this project, and I often refer to it. It really was a labor of love. The educators that worked with me, all but one, had traveled to the Arctic with me, and we were able to create an ebook through the Apple platform. It's called Equinox, Sharing Experiences of Nunavut, and it is downloadable for free on Apple iBooks. Also, within my talk, I believe there's going to be 3 short videos connected so that you can get a little sense of what's in the book. Those educators that worked with me, James Flaherty, who's been a teacher for many, many years within the system where I work, I often refer to James as a filmmaker who happens to be a teacher, and he is the technical wizard behind the documentaries and the film. And the documentaries and the ebook, I apologize. And then there's Maureen Carolyn, Jennifer Powell, Paula Nevins, Joanna Newton, all of whom are contributors, rich contributors to this book. This was by far a collaboration. I was a lead on the project, but I never, ever would have been able to create this without the endless hours that each of us kind of contributed to this project. We're very proud of it. And one of our main goals was to make it with community and have many Inuit edit the document before we released it. Because the belief was that this knowledge was shared with us over about 7 or 8 years. It was not ours to keep, but ours to share, and as respectfully as possible. And many things were edited out that they felt that maybe weren't appropriate for us to speak about, and we completely complied, because that is another lesson I have learned. But I am hugely proud of that project, and I am so grateful to the Inuit, Ayu Peter, Johnny Isaluk, Mika Mike, who really kind of held our hand and allowed us to walk alongside and shared so much. I mean, many times we'd be invited to Mika's house for dinner with 18 students. This is, again, a common experience through relationship, but not a common experience on a student excursion, and we're fully aware of that. And we were forever grateful. So were our students. So when you see 3 of these clips, I'll explain each of them. So the first one is about hunting. So it's what we've done with the resource. It's an interactive ebook. It is meant to be used for the K to 12 across the curriculum. It's kind of an opportunity for teachers to engage in their learning where they're at, or have students just play and discover, because there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of opportunity to draw within the book, so students can engage in that way. But many of the video clips, I will say all of the video footage, I believe, maybe small percentages on ours, but almost all of it was footage that we shot as a group from all sources, mostly from James Flaherty, and the images as well. The vast majority of the photographic images are ours that were taken over years and years of traveling. So it was a way to share that rich knowledge with a system. That was kind of the overriding goal of this project, to bring all that learning together in one area and one format, so we can allow other people to kind of take part in it. And the videos that we embedded, we wanted to make sure that they could be used in a classroom in a quick way, so they're not longer than a minute, each of them, except for the links to our documentaries, which are considerably longer. The first clip that I'm including in this talk is about hunting ptarmigan. And the particular day that you're going to see is with a group of students from a secondary school in Brampton. And these students came out on the land. Every opportunity we could to get students on the land, we did. The aim was to always have students understand how Inuit live today. The historical perspective in Inuit was important, but it was also crucially important for us to have students understand the rich life and the hunting life that is so much a part of Inuit culture today. So we would, wherever possible, and actually on every excursion, at least once students were able to get out on the land. In every instance, it was out onto the ice. So the clip you're seeing from the ptarmigan was taken in June, and there's still sea ice. And the students went out on snowmobile to just not too far out, but to kind of experience a full day being out in nature. And our Inuit guide would have hunted, and in this specific clip, he's hunted ptarmigan. Johnny Eastwood has hunted ptarmigan. He's skinning the ptarmigan and eating it raw, which is customary. And each of our students gave it a shot and tasted it. So it's understanding that respectful exchange and relationship that really tells me that there's rich learning happening. And he goes on to explain how Inuit really kind of need to live off the land and have so for thousands of years. So that is just one glimpse for our students to get firsthand to understand what hunting means to Inuit. That's one of the clips. The second clip that I've embedded in this talk is of ulus. And the ulu is known as the woman's knife, and how valuable it is to so much that is still done within the culture. Cutting foods, cleaning skins, all these opportunities. Our students actually took part in a workshop to make an ulu, because many Inuit can craft them. Some can, and it happened to be that our guide could. And he taught them the traditional way to make an ulu and its purpose and its use. So from beginning to end, they really got a glimpse of that. And the final one is a short clip about igloo making. Truly one of my favorite endeavors. I've had the opportunity to do it a few times, and I'm always marveled at the ingenuity of the Inuit people and creating these snow shelters. So our students will have taken part in a workshop. In this clip, you'll see that from an elder who, the other thing that's interesting is many Inuit ways of learning is not to ask a lot of questions. I do, and I've been told to stop asking so many questions. It's to watch and learn and continue to watch. So very little was spoken by the teacher, by the elder who helped us that day. But boy, did our students learn, and they engaged in the process from beginning to end. So that is another neat opportunity. Now, igloos are not used all the time. They use common modern tents now when they're out hunting, but it is still valuable and necessary for many young Inuit to learn, particularly Inuit males, that's what I was taught, to learn how to build an igloo before they could marry. This was the traditional way. And so there are still quite a few initiatives teaching young people how to build igloos and just having that knowledge to continue to keep that culture alive. So these, again, are things we want to share with our students in every capacity that we could. My goal in planning the learning for these rich endeavors is really to have as much connection to community as possible. Whether it be going to someone's house for tea or learning how to go hunting on the land, or learning how to skin a seal, clean a seal skin. All these are really examples of current modern Inuit life, and that is really what we hope to do for our students.
For a drive, look for geese, and hopefully, if we're lucky, look for a seal. Right? We're not going that far, but it's gonna be a nice day.
I'm looking forward to what we're gonna see out there. I have no idea what it's gonna be like. You know, it's springtime going into the summer. Ice is melting, and there's a lot of cool views out there. I've never been out on an adventure like this. I'm really excited for it. Honestly, I'm just excited to go on this. This thing looks so cool. Like the speed that I'm about to go on.
So it's important that our friends in Southern Canada understand what the North is about. It's not a cold, dark place. It's teeming with life. There's a lot of activity. There's a lot of people tied to the land. The majority of Canadians don't get an opportunity to go north of 60 and see the real Arctic. And by coming up and going not just to Iqaluit, but going to other communities outside of Iqaluit, gives the student a better perspective of what life in the North is about. And even if it's just a thumbnail sketch, but at least they've had an opportunity to travel. So it's very important to have that understanding, both North and South, of not only the cultural uniqueness aspect of the North, but also some of the positive things that are happening in the North.
I had the pleasure of teaching these young people about some of our culture, our knowledge. This group was very amazing to teach. They were very observant and very keen to learn and to try anything, to try new things. And I was very happy to talk about my dogs and the dog team and the challenges a little bit about being in a bigger place now where there's a lot more newcomers, and talking about the land, animals, and how we respect that. So they were very keen to learn and had very good questions.
Seeing students' expressions and being here through their eyes and watching their first experience, it was very exciting. Everything excited them: the land, the people, the scenery, the culture. So I've been here a number of times now, and it was very exciting to see to hear their excitement, to feel their joy, and to be embraced by the community.
We have this impression that coming from the South, we're smarter, we're more superior, we have better technology. And coming up here, I wasn't thinking I was going to learn anything, just see a lot of cool things. But I've learned more on this trip than I have in all of my high school career about culture and people and society in different places. It's amazing what you can learn when you just open up your ears a little bit, when you get away from the noise, from all the people down south.
Main thing right now is how grateful these people are, because back home it's take advantage of a lot of things, and learning from all the elders, Mika and Johnny especially. Everything up here is used, everything here. You don't take granted for it, you live with it. Even the kids here, they know from a young age everything they have here is limited and they have to make the best of it.
I think the most important thing was just kind of like the Inuit way of living, not taking more than what you need, and like really respecting the land. They never like hunt or take more animals than what the community needs. And I think that's really important, since we're always thinking about getting more.
I think I remember just being out here, just with everything that God gave you. It makes you really thankful for what we have, grateful for everything.
The scenery here is so breathtaking, and it's unbelievable how the sun like shines on the ice and how blue the water is, and I just have never seen anything like it.
I think they should just share their stories. Like the stories make a huge impact for any culture. Like stories are what keeps anything alive a lot of times. What they bring back could be just their experience. And a lot of times, that's all we need. We catch an animal, we always give thanks. We always say thank you for gifting yourself to us, and now we won't be hungry, right? And also, when you give thanks to it in any form or other, everything has spirit around us, right? So when you say thank you, the spirit will go to its people or to its animal land. So while I was walking here, I gave thanks. Normally when we catch geese or swans or big birds, we pluck them, but these ones are very soft, so we don't pluck them.
And then what you want to do is just go through on the bottom and all the way to the handle. So what you do is just using the handle to lift, pull it out. And you always have to be gentle with it because it can and will fall apart. There's your brick, and then we'll just put it over on the left there. Almost like a staircase. So maybe up north, still going around. So it's part of the history and culture, but there's still an inward hospital. And then as it's something
We're learning about the Inuit culture so that we can pass that on to our students. But at the same time, it's taken the experience in an authentic way so that we can speak about the culture in an authentic way. So I'm hoping to deepen my own personal experience.
It's kind of all surreal right now, and I feel like I'm actually walking into a storybook. I'm going to relive a story, but I'm looking forward to getting to know their culture and their way of life.
Yeah, I think maybe just establishing communication between my class and hopefully some of the kids up north.
I'm really looking forward to learning from the elders. As a history teacher, I find too often that we teach a fragmented Canadian history, and I'm really looking forward to learning about this piece of Canadian history that's been left out.
Have to varnish it. Also sharpen the edges. And then pretty much let it dry. And then I've got myself an ulu from Nunavut.
Well, we're just getting loaded up to go out on land for a few days. The gentlemen are helping us load our stuff on a kematuk, which is a sled drawn by the snowmobiles here. So we're going to go out about 3 hours onto the ice, to the edge of the ice, to the flow edge, where we're going to do some hunting and fishing and taking in the natural sights.
As a teacher and an educator in Dufferin Peel, I feel great privilege, and being here allows me firsthand exposure, experience, and understanding of this beautiful land. It is truly exquisite. It's surreal, and to see it firsthand gives you a new appreciation. To talk to Inuit leaders in the community who talk to us about the significance of this land to their culture, to sustain their people, it allows us to understand its relevance. It's a majestic place, and it's part of our country. So to take that back to our students, to possibly even have them come here and have firsthand experience, it changes our experience within Canada as Canadians.
Aku tuyu angu tibu ulu suli tawa. Iya ya 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 iya ya ya iya iya ya ya.
A lot of people don't know what we do, where we come from, who we are. And for myself, what I teach, yes, I come down, I travel a lot of places to teach my culture, the games I've known for many years, and the livelihood I've had growing up with my parents, the way they taught me traditionally, respectfully, culturally, adaptability, sharing and caring, all these things, what people do. there's a connection between us and the animals. When we're hunting, we only catch what we need, right? So I'll catch a polar bear. I'll catch one polar bear. That would be enough to feed a lot of families. And also, if I caught a caribou, I'd share most of what I caught, but I'll only catch one or two that I need, right?
So good.
And to think that polar bear may be endangered, I always feel humbled to know that it's not. Polar bears will be there long after we're gone because they're so smart. They're so adaptable. They can adapt to anything, anywhere, anyhow. And I feel humbled by that thought.
Nunavut territory or the Arctic is part of the nation. And we are also very, what I could say is first Canadians and Canadians first. And I am very hopeful through these types of exchanges that the children everywhere in Canada, in the nation, and in Ontario should try and gain as much knowledge about the Arctic, about the Nunavut, because Nunavut territory and the Arctic will eventually be a big contributor to the economic well-being of the nation of Canada.
Inuit way of life has changed so rapidly in such a short time. You know, my mother, my grandmother coming off and living off the land into houses, for example, in so short a time. And sometimes I think we often forget we need to go back and reflect on this change because it has happened so fast. But for thousands of years, Inuit have adapted to change, adapted to the environment. You know, even our environment is changing. So I often educate young policymakers that come up north on the differences between North and South. Because there are significant differences, and especially when people are making policy on behalf of the North. But I also look at vice versa, that it's really important for Nunavut to learn about the South as well too, because it broadens your worldview, your mind. I think traveling South, I think, is one of the most important things a young person can do. They get to see things very differently and to know that there's more in this world besides their community.
I would love to see the connection of classrooms, the connection of the South classrooms to the North classrooms, to work perhaps on a common project, to have students come north and also have students from the north come to the south. I think that would just be an amazing experience, a real, authentic experience for all students.
It was eye-opening, it was humbling. I've had a chance to travel around the world, but I really haven't explored many parts of Canada. And having the opportunity to go up north into the Arctic, it just gave me a greater appreciation for Canada and being Canadian. I'm a recent Canadian. I only became a citizen in 2008. And I feel proud like coming home. Like if you have a feeling of pride, basically.
In the last 7 days, I've been in the best classroom, and I've learned from some of the best teachers, whether it be Johnny in his garage making ulus, or traveling out on land with Alex, or visiting an elementary school and a young 10-year-old teaching me how to speak in Inuktitut. This experience has really opened my eyes, and I really want to bring all of this back to my students. I want to bring it back to making sure that our curriculum is complete and that our curriculum includes the Inuit people.
Yeah, I didn't realize what a great experience it would be. I knew it would be interesting, but there were times on the trips that were spiritual, prayerful, connection to a different culture, and even reconnecting with yourself when you're out in on the land, and learning some of the traditional Inuit knowledge and skills and trades that they do. It was a diverse experience. It was something that I realized is that I don't know that much about the culture, and I really should. And I think it's we're obliged to come back and share as much as we can with our students and our families.
I just wanted to add a little other detail about the project and the book in particular. I hope you enjoyed those clips. We also were committed to translating the book into Inuktitut and into French. And it was a few years after the book was published that we were successful in that endeavor as well. Great thanks to one of our translation partners, Tunga Suvangit Inuit, which is an organization based out of Ottawa that helps support Inuit living outside of the Arctic. And it has been well received. It was a collaborative project working together to bring those translations to fruition. And our book is also available in those two languages. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the talk. I hope you enjoyed some of the work and the documentary and the little pieces from our book, and look forward to hearing from anyone who would like to chat some more. Bye-bye.
Wonderful. Well, that was Mary Ellen Gucciardi, and that was from Nunavut. So thank you so much for connecting us with her, Pia. That was amazing.